Hello, my name is Michael Spicer, and today I want to tell you something. I've deleted all my social media from my phone. Why have I done this? Well, about 50 times a day, I would do this. And 9 times out of 10, there would be no point. There would be no reason for it. Nothing to trigger the action other than, oh, I haven't looked at my phone for 3 minutes, I better look at my phone again. In fact, when I shot those scenes of me around the house checking my phone, I stopped to genuinely check my phone. The average person spends up to 2.5 hours a day on social media. Now, imagine what you could do with those extra 2.5 hours. You could download Duolingo and do that thing where Duolingo makes you think that you've learnt a language, and then you go to the country and you realise that you haven't learnt a single word. Social media is a jellyfish. Every few years it evolves and it grows another tentacle to wrap itself around us so that another facet of our personality is manipulated so that we can't do literally anything without checking our phones. And a lot of this is by accident rather than design. When it began, social media's purpose was to connect people. Sorry, no, it wasn't. When it began, social media's purpose was to make lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money for its creators. As we know, social media creators are motivated purely by revenue, not some ideal of a utopian global community. Facebook is slightly different because its initial purpose was to rate teenage girls from Harvard, but that's another video essay altogether. So what has social media given us? Well, among other things, it's given us the culture of cyberbullying, cyberstalking, trolling, as well as issues with social anxiety, self-esteem, addiction, depression, and also the spread of misinformation and a general sort of eradication of online privacy. Although my reason for deleting my social media apps is different. I am just scared of the way social media and just having my phone has burrowed its way into my primal brain. I'm Pavlov's dog, but without the bell. I don't need the bell anymore. I'm beyond the bell. My hand reaches out involuntarily in anticipation of a bell, which I know deep down will never ring. Of course, the immediate problem with deleting every app is that I'm now missing out on news instantly. So, for instance, without social media, I can't watch a famous person throw their career away in real time. Well, first of all, I want to apologise for the tweets that I posted this morning. I used language that I shouldn't have done, and I will be doing all that I can to improve my behaviour online.
Such as?
Such as what?
Well, for instance, will you take a course to re-educate yourself?
Of course I won't be taking a fucking course to re-educate myself. What am I, 12? Just let me do this apology and don't fucking interrupt. Well, first of all, I just want to apologise for my outburst yesterday when I was apologising for the tweets that I posted earlier that day. And I just want to say that it was completely unacceptable language, and I promise I will not be using it again.
Are you talking about the tweets or the outburst?
What?
When you said the language was unacceptable, are you talking about the tweet?
Look, can you just let me finish apologising? It's bad enough I have to do this in front of some sort of junior. Where do they get you from? See f***ing BBs? Well, first of all, I just want to apologise for yesterday's interview. I have nothing against young people trying to forge a career in journalism. It's to be applauded, and I apologise for what I said. And I also apologise for the offensive language that I used yesterday when I was apologising for my outburst the day before when I was apologising for the tweets. I think that's right, isn't it?
I've no idea.
F*** it. So how did we get here? In the mid-1990s, when the internet was still seen as a pastime for outcasts, social media emerged from two basic human instincts: the desire to connect with people and the desire to rate the hotness of people anonymously. And so we had 6degrees.com, whose goal was to bring us closer together, and amihotornot.com, whose goal was to make us so insecure that we'd never want to see anyone ever again. These early attempts paved the way for other sites who then tried to put our entire personalities into a single account. Sites like Friendster, Bebo, Friends Reunited, Jaku, Koofers, Mobley, Quetchup, Club Penguin, Zoopy, Kiwi Box, Cucumber Town. I mean, there's just hundreds here. Cucumber. Check out the site, there's a link. An interesting aside here is that I worked at ITV when they bought Friends Reunited for £120 million in 2005. That figure again, £120 million. Chairman Michael Grade said at the time, Friends Reunited is one of the great unsung jewels in the crown, one of the most important bits of ITV going forward, a massive presence and profitable. He sold it 3 years later for 25 million. The early 2000s really was an insane time to be a person with money. Business people with a background in business trying to invest in the internet, having no idea what they were doing and just losing billions. It reminds me a little bit of what's going on now with streaming platforms, you know, sort of CEOs in entertainment with a background in traditional broadcasting and television trying to find a way to make a profit via streaming platforms. Of course, as we know, their plan was to not pay the talent anything and keep all the profits for themselves, which they had a hard time convincing us was a very, very good idea that benefited the entertainment industry. Anyway, one bin fire at a time, back to social media. Michael Grade, of course, would not have spent £120 million. Yes, £120 million. Honest, that's the figure, look it up. On Friends Reunited, had he heard the distant rumbling on the horizon of the unstoppable freight train known as Facebook, which took the idea of forging online communities from other social media models, but also blended it with am I hot or not style competitiveness and validation, so that by the mid-2000s, we were well on our way to a completely abhorrent, toxic culture online. The future looked good. At this point in the timeline, it would be remiss of me not to mention the precursor to the Facebook explosion, MySpace. MySpace was the first site that I joined in order to connect with like-minded people. It didn't work out. I think that's because ultimately it was seen as a space for musicians, unsigned musicians. It offered musicians a place where they could attract their own audience and engineer their own success. As a comedian and a writer, I found it difficult to connect with anyone. So for the first time in my life, and the only time, I started to make my own music. It wasn't good. Luckily, all of my tracks have been lost, thanks to a catastrophic error by MySpace. I never knew this until I researched it, but in 2019, MySpace lost all of its content from the day it launched to 2015 in some sort of botched server migration with no backup. Over 50 million songs and 12 years of content was permanently lost. Thanks, Tom. When I was using MySpace on a daily basis in those early years, it did feel like a force for good. It felt like people were being emboldened to forge new friendships and new communities. And there was no advertising. None. This was just a place that was run by Tom and his friends. And you could use it however you wanted, without the feeling that every click, every decision you made on the site wasn't being pored over and analysed for the benefit of advertisers and marketeers. But then it was bought by News Corp, so it sank into the abyss like everything else. As soon as corporations take over something that originally grew organically, they kill it. And eventually, everyone left the site because of ubiquitous advertising. While Facebook was rolling out clean, user-friendly updates, MySpace was sinking further and further down under the weight of its £900 million advertising deal with Google. Coupled with its failure to integrate spam filters into its site, leading to vandalism, phishing, malware, MySpace became a floating piece of space garbage that News Corp was desperately trying to detach itself from. Eventually it was sold in 2011 for £35 million. Of course, despite this, I can't help but feel a touch of nostalgia whenever I think about Tom and his wobbly old site from 2005. It's amazing to think that young people were flocking to Facebook on account of its user-friendly, clean, advertisement-free design. Facebook. But it proves that the story of social media is cyclical. As soon as a social media site becomes popular, it's bought by a rich person to make them richer. And of course, that person will never bother himself, it's always a man, with the nuances of that social media site. He will never understand the different colours and textures. He'll never appreciate the different cultures and communities inside the app he's just bought. No, it's just a money-making machine. It's a tool that people stare at a lot, so let's put advertising in front of their eyes at every opportunity. It's what led to MySpace's downfall, and it's what will lead to Twitter's downfall. Because what was the main reaction when Elon Musk bought Twitter? Finding alternatives. Consequently, you got people joining Threads and Blue Sky and Mastodon, all blatant Twitter copies, all promoting clean usage, clutter-free design, liberal thinking, no advertisements. Of course, Threads had ads from the beginning because Threads is an offshoot of Instagram and Instagram is an offshoot of Facebook. Threads should just be called Insta-Face Tweets because it's a really weird mix of all three. I don't trust Threads. I think if Mark Zuckerberg knew that launching Threads would make the world forget within a week that he and Facebook helped rebrand fascism for the best part of a decade, he probably would have launched it sooner. And so inevitably Twitter was awash in 2023 with people tweeting, "Oh, I know this other place. Come with me. It's so beautiful. There's no uber capitalism. There's no right-wing dogma. The drop-down menus are so smooth. The like button bursts into a 1,000 rose petals. It's just so neutral and beautiful. Everything is right with the world over here. Come on, sign up. I've got a code." So you sign up. And then your friends sign up, and then everyone signs up, and then one day you see an advertisement for a betting company and a beard trimmer and the latest Samsung Galaxy, and you go, this is actually very familiar indeed. And then you realise that because everyone signed up, all the trolls and bullies have signed up too. And as we know, trolls and bullies increase usage, and increased usage means improved data, and improved data means better advertising opportunities. And then before you know it, Trump is back in the White House and Zuckerberg is back in front of the US Supreme Court, this time defending Threads for spreading hate speech and misinformation and undermining elections. It could happen. The decline of Twitter isn't just about advertising though, it's also about what happens when a billionaire has a midlife crisis. Now, when ordinary men with fragile egos and old-fashioned American Psycho-style masculine ideals have a midlife crisis, they do something, fairly cliched, like buy a sports car or have an affair. But when a billionaire has a midlife crisis and acts upon it, we all suffer because they're too powerful. You shouldn't have as much money as a billionaire and have deep-rooted psychological problems because it might end the world. Okay, maybe all billionaires have deep-rooted... Yes, they do. They do all have deep-rooted... Sorry. Elon Musk is like Jack D. Ripper, a man with supreme power whose destructive paranoia has forced him to launch missiles at Russia. Only in this case, Russia is Twitter. The latest sign of Elon Musk's disturbingly surreal spiral into a Cybertruck-shaped oblivion was when he told advertisers to go themselves. Not in a secret recording or anything, on a stage, on a platform, in front of millions of people, and in front of said advertisers who were in the audience, whilst dressed like Biggles.
Let's talk about that. So just take us back to the moment at which you write that. We'll do Israel in just a moment.
And I have no problem being hated, by the way.
I hear you.
Hate away.
Well,
What about pitied?
And Jonathan,
His name's not Jonathan.
the only reason I'm here is because you are a friend.
A friend whose name you don't know.
First of all, I'm Andrew, but
Yeah, sorry.
it's okay.
This is a terrific start. I mean, you're really shattering some myths here. Well done.
There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger
I hope
today.
they stop.
What?
You hope
Don't advertise.
What?
you don't want them to advertise?
No.
No. What?
What do you mean?
Say you were joking. You do want advertisers. Twitter is losing $4 million a day, remember. You do want advertisers. Advertising is great, and you want all the advertisers.
Somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising? Blackmail me with money?
Then I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding, and we should all sit down and have a nice chat and clear the air.
Go f yourself.
And what I mean by that is something else.
But
Say something else. If you don't want to kill Twitter right now, say the opposite of what you just said. Say something else.
Go f yourself.
But they're going to say, Elon, that you killed the company because you said these things.
Don't say go fuck yourself again, please. Say something else and stop nodding like a muppet.
For a
Tell it
second.
to the judge.
There is no judge. That doesn't mean anything. Please start talking like an adult.
Let the chips fall where they may.
That's still nothing. You're talking in bullshit metaphors.
What do you do?
F-Y.
Okay, I'm done. I'm G'ing the F out of H. Goodbye. So what's the answer to social media's ever-increasing manipulation of our day-to-day lives? Well, a good start would be to do what I do. Delete the apps from your phone and limit them to your iPad or your laptop. It's frustrating at first because you'll instantly want to go for your phone whenever you get a 30-second window, and you'll look at your phone and then realise there's nothing to look at. But then weeks will pass and that will dissipate, and one day you'll be sat at home and you'll sit up and you'll think to yourself, wait a minute, where is my phone? Where is it? It's not on me. And then you'll think, oh, hang on a minute. It's in my coat pocket when I got home 2 hours ago. And you won't know what to say. You'll be so proud of yourself that you'll want to tweet about it, or you'll want to post it on Facebook, or you'll want to take a picture of your smug face and then do a story about it on Instagram, or you'll want to do a whole video about it with a fancy lamp and a dying plant behind you. But refrain from all of that. Don't do it. Don't tell social media. Just distance yourself again. Just sit down in quiet contemplation. You know, like they used to do in the old days. Hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please do like and subscribe. And if you've got any better ideas of how to manage your social media life, let me know in the comments. Bye.